This grammar unit is going to deal with clauses. And now clauses are another very essential part of our sentence structures. And the definition is going to be a structure with both a subject and a verb. It may contain modifiers. So you can examine the structure within the clause. It may or may not stand alone as a sentence. Now, the biggest thing to remember is the difference between a clause and a phrase. Now, a clause is a subject and its verb. A phrase is going to be a verb or a subject. And I'm going to use the word subject loosely because remember that would be in the case of like an appositive or a prep phrase where there's a noun but no verb. So we're really kind of using that structure loosely. So let's go on to talk about the different types of clauses. So the first type of clause we're going to talk about is an independent clause. And independent clauses are really what you're used to thinking about as a sentence. It expresses a complete thought and can stand alone. So when we look at this, the outfielders missed easy fly balls. Here's your action verb. Who or what missed? The outfielders did. What did they miss? They missed the balls. There is a independent clause, can stand alone as a sentence. Now, independent clauses can also be joined together. And that's what's going to happen in these next cases, and we're going to have to talk about proper ways to join them. But here again, we've got action verb missed, who or what missed, the outfielders did, and they missed those fly balls, comma and, so a comma and one of our fanboys are coordinating conjunctions. The infielders were throwing wildly. Here's another action verb, except the subject of this action verb is infielders. And in this case, wildly is an adverb. And notice these subscripts are helping me see which verbs and which subjects form a pair. Now, comma fanboys, comma and, but, for, and, nor, yet, or so are correct ways to join two sentences. In this last example, our outfielders are still missing fly balls. Notice a semicolon, however. However is not a coordinating conjunction. So you do need to use a semicolon or a period. You can't use a comma, however. That creates a run-on. And in this case, our infielders were playing well. And there's the adverb that goes with that second player. These conjunctions are subordinating conjunctions because they show a relationship between the two. They don't just join things. They're showing a relationship. Now, what are subordinate clauses? Now, subordinate clauses cannot stand alone. These are the things that we would refer to as fragments. They don't express a complete thought, and what we are going to be watching for are the conjunctions that lead up to them, because that is going to be your tip, that conjunction, that it's coming. So whom we spoke to yesterday. That can't stand by itself. And this word whom is what's going to tip us off. Because no students have applied for them, this word because is going to tip us off that this can't stand on its own. So these two, in our writing, your teacher's often going to put fragment, but really they are subordinate clauses that if we could go ahead and put them into another sentence, they would work. So in this case, the woman whom we spoke to yesterday told us about sources of financial aid for college applicants. If we start looking for our subjects and verbs, the first verb I find is spoke. There's an action verb. Who or what spoke? We did. So there's a subject and a verb. If I keep going, here's another action verb, told. Who or what told? The woman told. So those two are paired together. So what did she tell? She told us, direct object, about sources, prep phrase, of financial aid, prep phrase, for college applicants, prep phrase. This insert right here is a subordinate clause inside that larger independent clause. And just as a preview, this is going to be an adjective clause when we get to that lesson because it's telling us more about the woman, which happens to be a noun. Now this next some scholarships are available because no students have applied for them. There is our subordinate clause from before, and this time if we have are, here's our linking verb, who or what are, scholarships are, they are what, available, predicate adjective, no students have applied, here's an action verb, who or what have applied, students, and for them is a prep phrase. Here's that subordinating conjunction. This can't stand on its own, it's a subordinate. This in the yellow is independent, it can stand alone. And just as a look ahead, this is telling us why they are still available. This is going to be an adverb clause. Now, using that nesting idea of this whole clause might be acting like an adverb, but inside the clause, all of our regular jobs still apply. So since she told us the truth, action verb told, who told, she told what? The truth, to or for whom? Us. And this subordinating conjunction does not have a grammatical function except to introduce the clause. When I am busy, linking verb am, I is the subject, busy is a predicate adjective. Again, when is just introducing. After he had cooked for us, had cooked, action verb, he, for us is an adverb prep phrase, and after introduces the subordinating clause. He had recently painted. Had painted is your action verb. Recently is going to be an adverb. He is your subject. He had recently painted that. In this case, the word that not only introduces the clause, it is the direct object of the clause. They were who, subject, linking verb, predicate nominative, who does double duty to introduce and serve a grammatical function within the clause. Now in the notes there are plenty, I've listed different subordinating clauses or subordinating conjunctions, and it would be worth your time to become familiar with those.